How's it going, everyone? Data here, and welcome back to the Pittsburgh Penguins franchise mode, episode number 5 here on NHL 23, headed into the 2024 draft and off season. Now, before we get started, it is late Thursday evening, June the 15th. I don't usually record this late, but I am pumped for this off season. We've been having a lot of discussions on the Discord server. I think I have a great plan that I've hatched that will keep a lot of the assistant general managers happy on both sides of the different arguments that we've been having, and I think that we're going to have a great team headed into next season, because this season, although we had the names, we had the horses, people didn't come through as much as we wanted them to. We were eliminated in round number 1 in a 7-game series against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Sidney Crosby with 6 goals in 7 games, Chris Letang point per game, but aside from that, after Sidney Crosby's 6 goals, we had 2 players with more than 1, and no one else with more than 1 goal. DeBrusk 1 goal, Toffoli 1 goal, Malkin 1 goal, Rust 1 goal, Gensel 1 goal, in a 7-game series where we needed our scorers to be there. It was a big disappointment. 1 assist from Ryan O'Reilly. Meanwhile, our goaltending, Mackenzie Blackwood, his numbers got ruined a little bit by like a 7-goal against Game 7, but aside from, or was it 6, I think, but aside from that, his numbers were very, very good. Mackenzie Blackwood, our new starter moving forward. We have a lot to build on headed into this off season, because we brought the team that went to the Eastern Conference Final all the way to 7 games. We were up 3 games to 2. We dropped games 6 and 7 against the Maple Leafs. They went on to lose against the Flyers, and the Predators won the 2024 Cup. But I was very impressed with some of those smaller things that I saw, namely the goaltending and also the veterans coming through after having kind of lackluster seasons. Crosby below point per game for the first time in his career. He came through almost goal per game. You had Chris Letang, 41 points on the year. He went point per game. Point every other game in the season, point per game in the postseason. So some of those things were good, but again, there were a lot of things that weren't so hot, and that's what we're going to be changing here in this offseason, because as I've been saying a lot of times, our mandate here in Pittsburgh, squeeze as much as possible out of the core while also looking forward to the future and not sacrificing everything just for 1 or 2 more runs. So headed into the 2024 off season, of course, we have the draft. We currently hold the 20th overall selection in the draft. We also have the expiring contracts of Jake DeBrusk, Tyler Toffoli, Jordan Staal, Philip Hollander, a few bigger names, as well as other guys we may be looking to use as trade bait, especially with the salary cap being pretty tight. We'll be trying to handicap ourselves a little bit, because I find that $92.35 million in just year number 2 is way too high. Jumping $10 million in 2 years is a bit too much of a stretch. I was thinking maybe 87-ish. We'll see what happens there, but regardless, money will be tight, and it may require us to do a few moves. And those moves may include some free agents. Of course, we don't know the free agent pool just yet. We're looking at the potential pending free agents. We see big names like Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Devon Toews, the younger side-ish. Then you have the veterans, Patrice Bergeron, Steven Stamkos, Joe Pavelski's down there. Then you have other players that kind of meet my criteria for what I'm looking for. That they go into my top tier targets if they are to drop to free agency. Guys like Alex DeBrincat for the forwards, and for the defense, I was also keeping an eye on Tyson Barrie. So we'll see, of course, who drops to free agency. I don't want to put too much stock into discussions right now, because who knows if these teams just re-sign all those players. But with all the information in mind and the plan for what we want to do in 2024-25 also in mind, we now turn to the assistant general managers. So we'll dive into the comments and start with Scott Will, who left a very, in my opinion, thought-provoking comment, saying here, I think a glaring issue with your lineup is not enough big bodies. Adding 1 or 2 of guys like Marcus Foligno, Tom Wilson, Brett Pesce, Jamie Alexiak, Mason Marchment, Elmer Soderblom, etc., I think could do wonders for your team. You need guys like these who are willing to use their size and reach to wear down the opponent, play along the boards, get under the opponent's skin, and to disrupt plays. Most of these guys would be in your bottom 6/bottom 4 of defense in the regular season, but come playoff time, when you end up playing top-heavy teams like the Leafs, Rangers, or Oilers, but especially the Leafs we saw this past postseason, you can put one of these guys into your top 6 or top pair to act as a deterrent against these high-skilled top lines and be more miserable for them to play against. Just my 2 cents. That was very well said, Scott. In our bottom 6 this season, we had a lot of guys who were trying to grow. Hollander, Nylander, Poulin, Paling, getting someone who, I'm not saying veteran like 34, but someone who late 20s, early 30s, like the Mason Marchments of the world, for example, who's maybe somewhere from 81, 82, 83 overall to play in the bottom six and have that role. I think that would be a very big positive for this lineup. So thank you very much for those thoughts, and we'll keep them in mind for free agency. Gen Z McKenzie commented, buy out Petrie because he was absolutely horrendous this season. He has one more year at $6.25 million, I believe that's his cap hit. And you would have to attach a draft pick along with him just to trade him due to his horrible contract. So you know what? Just buy him out. Draft Henry Muse, an offensive defenseman who's poised to go in the 20s of the draft with your first pick because he's an offensive defenseman. He'll likely have some growth due to putting up points. Use the 52nd pick and maybe Alex Nylander or Aiden Hill to trade up to around 40 to draft Yanni Petrell. I believe he was a low elite prospect. Use some of your other picks to trade up twice to get 2 picks in the high 90s, low hundreds, or use that third pick to trade down into that area and only trade up once to get both Jean Roy and Sergei Vorobyev. These are some of the prospects we saw last episode, who we will be acquainted with shortly once we get into the draft. Potential free agent signings could be Matthews, Nylander, DeBrincat, Forsling, and Hanifin because they are fairly young and will be in their primes for years. Potential money to move out to accommodate these signings could be the guys I mentioned earlier, as well as Jason Zucker. Extend to Foley, Hollander, and P.O. Joseph, as well as some of the AHL guys who could potentially make an impact in the NHL, or at least make the AHL team strong enough to contend. Gen Z McKenzie, I like those thoughts, especially the Petrie buyout. I'm curious to see what the trade market for him would be. I know it's only 1 year left, so maybe a buyer team would be interested, but if a trade doesn't work out, or if he's, like, as Gen Z McKenzie says, if we wanted to trade him, we have to dump him with a pick. So it would have to be a part of a package of a bigger deal, which I am considering, but if it doesn't work out, I think a buyout is certainly in the cards. Now, finishing it off by going over to the Discord server, not really sharing any one comment in particular, but there was a lot of discussion going on, mostly led by Pat, saying, yes, in theory, right now we could potentially do some sort of trade where we take the 20th overall pick and let's say Rickard Rakell or maybe Aiden Hill, Alex Nylander, or whatever, and we try to trade into the top 10 or so. Not the top 5, maybe pick 9, 10, 11, something around there. It would be interesting at this moment, but we could also look forward to the 2025 draft where we will have the 5 created players who we had at the beginning of this series. You can see them back in episode 0, created players based on the top 5 winners in the Data 782 Fantasy Hockey League. Those players are a part of the 2025 draft class. So yes, we could try to trade up to get a player now with, let's say, medium elite potential, or we could try to trade for a first round pick in 2025 that could potentially be a lottery pick that turns into one of those top 5 created players. Now, I'm not really one to put all my eggs in the basket of a lottery. I wouldn't want to miss out on an opportunity now just to end up getting whatever, the 14th overall pick next season. I would really want it to be from a bottom feeding team that I can hopefully maybe guarantee a top 3, top 5 pick from. But then if they're really, really the bottom feeders of the league, would they really trade a first round pick just 1 year away in exchange for like a package that includes Rickard Rakell? I'm not sure about that. So I do have a plan headed into this off season. I appreciate all the discussion going on YouTube and Discord. So thank you for the ongoing discussions. That's what makes this series so rich. Now, all this being said, we're ready to head into the 2024 draft, and I gotta say, I have a bit of a master plan in mind. Maybe it's gonna fall apart, but at least, you can't fault me for trying. I will bring you through my thought process, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I do have a very interesting plan in mind, and it involves a 3-team trade. It wouldn't be, obviously, a 3-team trade as it happens in the real world, because you can only trade with one team at a time, but bear with me. So in the 2024 draft, I wondered as well, would Detroit want to move one of their top 2 picks? They have the first 2. No, they don't. Anyone else want to trade their picks? No. I'm hoping, though, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. I was hoping that either the Islanders at number 9 or the Senators, I didn't know where they were, but they're number 11. I was hoping the Islanders at number 9 or the Senators somewhere would want to trade their first round picks, and both of them actually do. Oh my. Okay, so there's a part 1 and a part 2 to the trade. Part 1 was, I'm hoping that Ottawa wants to trade their first round pick. Part 2 was, I hope that the Islanders also want to trade their pick at number 9. So I'm not going to spoil it too much yet, but here's what I'm thinking. We currently pick at number 20. If we were to pick, make a selection with that 20th pick, it would likely be Henry Muse, medium top 4 offensive defenseman from the Ottawa 67s, 3 years away, 18 years of age. It would probably be Henry Muse. However, if we could get into the 9th overall pick and Berkeley Catton is available, I would very much like to draft him. A real-life player from Saskatchewan, which would go into our Braden Yeager and Callan Lynn storyline, the Sasky boys. A real-life prospect with medium elite potential at number 9. Very good value, only 1 year away. So part 1 of my deal, if Ottawa's first round pick was super late, it probably wouldn't work to trade up to 9. But now that I see how low their first round pick is, this actually works out a lot better if everything goes through. So I think a player we're absolutely targeting this offseason is Alex DeBrincat. Alex DeBrincat was an RFA last season. We wanted him, but we didn't have the right compensation. We didn't have enough salary space. It wasn't really working out as much as we tried to make it. And now he's going to be entering unrestricted free agency, but I don't want to risk him, A, getting re-signed by the Senators, or B, wanting a crazy amount of money, and now other teams are going to be able to get him for dollar amounts that we can't afford. Alex DeBrincat is an 88 overall with with a 5-star shooting, a right winger that we could play with Crosby and Gensel on that first line. Last season, 67 points. The year before that, 33 goals, 71 points. Ice time seems limited though, 20 minutes, but like only 8 power play points. I want to really be pumping this guy out. First line, first unit power play, first unit 4-man power play, first unit 3-on-3 overtime, everything. Alex DeBrincat would be the ideal first line scorer for us, especially that he did well, but not crazy well, that his demand would be incredibly high. So I would be thinking, can we get Alex DeBrincat and the 11th overall pick from the Senators? Give me a second so Detroit can make their pick before the trade I'm trying to do gets erased. With the first overall pick, they select this medium elite 81 overall sniper. So if I go to Ottawa, I say I want pick number 11, and I want Alex DeBrincat. Those are the 2 pieces that I want from you. In exchange, I will give you pick number 20, as well as a player for the roster spot and for the money. I will give you Rickard Rakell. Now, what the Senators need is a player who's good and on an affordable AAV. DeBrincat at 6.4, now he's going to be wanting upwards of $7 million. They cannot afford him. They need a player that they can trust on a consistent AAV. He's always going to be $5 million. He's signed for the next 4 years. He's an 85 overall. He had 50-some points on the season, I believe. 50 exactly. Good playmaker. Didn't show up in the postseason. He's been a long-time Penguin. I like him a lot. But if it means bringing in DeBrincat, I'm okay with parting with him. Now, the Senators are over the salary cap. So who could I bring back from the Senators when I look at the cap hits? Anyone on a 1-year type of thing? Not really, eh? Not really. Tyler Madden, legend. What about Artem Zub? I'm looking at Kulikov, Joseph, and Zub. Joseph would be interesting, but I don't like that AAV for the term. Artem Zub. What if we bring back Artem Zub? He's a right D. Would you be interested in Jeff Petrie? Yes, you are. Jeff Petrie, 1 more year at 6.25. That allows you to clear up money, not for next season, but for long term. Now, we give you the 20th overall pick, Rickard Rakell and Jeff Petrie, in exchange for the 11th overall pick, the UFA rights to Alex DeBrincat and Artem Zub. What would you say about this, Ottawa? I don't want to send it just like that. I think I'm going to throw in a pick. Even if they would accept it, I'm going to throw in a pick. Yes, you're getting guarantees in exchange for us getting maybes because it's just UFA rights at the end of the day. You got a guaranteed 20th overall pick. You get Rickard Rakell. You get Jeff Petrie for just 1 year. 4th overall pick. Your buyer status. You want all these players. You give up the UFA rights of a player you're about to lose anyways, and you move down 9 picks, as well as clearing up long-term money in Artem Zub. So what do you say about this, Ottawa? You aren't where you need to be in value offered, nor are we particularly interested. Okay. Maybe we throw in a 30. We have 2 thirds in 2025. Could I throw in a 3rd from New Jersey in 2025 to make this work? And there you go! Okay, trade accepted. 2025 third from New Jersey, and there you have it. So the Senators get good picks. They move down 9 selections. Hold on, let me get rid of Detroit here. Their second pick, they take a medium elite defensive defenseman. So we move up from 20 to 11. And with the 11th overall pick, either we're going to move up to 9 or we're going to stay where we are. But we have the 11th overall pick. We move up 9 spots. We dump Rickard Rakell and his $5 million. We dump Jeff Petrie and his $6.25 million. We lose a couple picks, but we get back the UFA rights to Alex DeBrincat, and we just got Artem Zub as well. But here's the thing. I'm thinking about a 3-team trade I told you, right? I'm thinking about a 3-team trade. What if I now flip Artem Zub to you, New York? I like Artem Zub. He'd be nice on that right side. They basically swapped Petrie for Zub, so I think that's a wash. They pay a bit more this season, but then they get 3 years of not paying $4.6 million. Plus, they got draft picks. So I think dumping Petrie on Ottawa did make sense realism-wise. I'll give you Artem Zub now, New York. I'd like to keep him, but $4.6 million for an 81 overall is probably too rich for my blood right now. And then I give you pick number 11. And now, to satisfy what everyone was also saying about getting picks next season, what if I get the Islanders first next year? They are buyers, but they finished 9th last this season. I'll take a lottery chance on getting a first-round pick from them this next season. Do you have interest in Aiden Hill? You have interest in Aiden Hill. Look at that. You have interest in Aiden Hill, who I need to trade away. They need a backup goalie. Perfect. So I'll give you Aiden Hill. Could I also maybe throw in the rights to... I hate to move him, but I think it's going to be inevitable. What about the rights to Alexander Nylander? What do you say to this, New York? Zub, Hill, Nylander, and the 11th overall pick to move up 2 spots, and I get your first next year. So you get a top 4 defenseman that you want and your buyer status. You get a backup goalie that you need. You get the rights to a young player. And so essentially, we're swapping 11 for 9, and then I'm giving you a top 4D, a top 9 forward, and a backup goalie for your first next year, which you're banking on yourselves being a good team next year. Quite far off. Okay, maybe. What if I throw in the rights to a top 4 defenseman? What if I give you P.O. Joseph? P.O. Joseph, I know we'd like to build on him. He's one of our only young players. He only had 6 points on the season. He's 24. I doubt much more growth is coming. To make it work, I would do it. I'm hesitant to move P.O. Joseph. I didn't really want to. Can I take back some sort of pick in 2025? 2025 6th round pick? What do you say to this, New York? Trade rejected. Just 2 firsts, still not acceptable. And now Chicago's going to make their pick. They get this guy, Hornqvist, medium elite. Okay, so they don't want 2 defensemen. So we will keep P.O. Joseph then. Erase what I said about P.O. Joseph. We'll keep him. How about we try this? So you give me the 9th overall pick. You drop down 2 spots. You give me your first in 2025, which you don't even value that much in the first place. I give you a top 4 defenseman, a backup goalie who's been a starter, a top 9 forward, and a third in a couple of years from now in 2026. New York, what do you say to this one? Still rejected, but I feel it. I think we're almost there. Do I give up the second? We're contenders. Do we give up the second to get the medium elite prospect and the lottery, hopefully a lottery ticket for next year? And then could I recoup a 4th in 2026? I give you we swap a 2nd for a 4th in 2026. Quite close to fair value. How about a 5th in 2026? I'm feeling it. 5th. Lou, what do you say to this, Lou? Come on. They don't want to trade their 6th in 2026, so let's try the 6th in 2025. Give me some love, Lou. Give me some love. Come on. I'll try the 7th, and then if I can't, then I guess we'll go straight up. 7th in 2025. Lou, come on, buddy. Trade accepted. Let's go, Big Lou. Big Lou, let's go. Wow. So what a plan that was. It worked out. I wasn't sure if it was going to be part 1, part 2, part where it's all the 3 teams or what. But in total, we move out the 20th overall pick, later the 11th overall pick, Rickard Rakell, Alex Nylander, Aiden Hill, Jeff Petrie, and a number of some other picks, which include a 2025 New Jersey third and a 2026 Penguins second, essentially in exchange for getting the 9th overall pick from the Islanders, a first-round pick from the Islanders in 2025, and the UFA rights to Alexander DeBrincat. Wow. So that was really something. It still hinges on will DeBrincat re-sign with us, but we freed up some money, some roster spots. We get good picks for this year, and we get to have a lottery ticket in next year's 2025 loaded draft class, which a lot of people wanted to have. So I think everyone gets satisfied with that. Let's go ahead and get to pick number 9 now. Pick number 7, then pick number 8 goes to the Hawks, and they take Dickinson. They want, okay, I'm being offered a trade, but it disappeared. So with the 9th overall pick, we're going to go ahead and take Catton. In the real world, we would have simulated until pick number 9 and then seen if Catton was even still available. But thankfully, when it comes to the top 10, you can basically count on everyone going exactly where they are, as the AI always just takes best player available. Very rarely does it go off script. So now Berkeley Catton playing with the Chiefs over in the WHL. A Sasky boy joining the other Saskies we have on the team here. Put up good numbers in the WHL last year, 74 and 68. This year, 72 and 69. He is 1 year away, similar to Nicholas Backstrom. A shooting, A puck skills, A senses, good 200-foot game, center/left wing, probably more of a left wing. These guys usually have low face-offs and they develop as wingers, but we'll see what happens with him. Another medium league prospect to have in the system. What I'm most curious about is what his overall will actually be. So with all that being said, let's head up to the podium. Good evening, everyone, and congratulations to the Nashville Predators on their Stanley Cup championship. With the 9th overall selection in the 2024 NHL entry draft, the Penguins are proud to select from the Spokane Chiefs, Berkeley Catton. Welcome to Pittsburgh, Bello. You are 73 overall. Okay. 73 overall, 18 years of age, out of the draft, medium league potential. Look at those X factors. Send it, zone ability, tape to tape, third eye, ankle breaker, all alone, and puck on a string. Okay. 84 puck control. That's great. 95 discipline definitely boosts the overall a little bit. 66 faceoffs. That's what I was saying. Maybe he develops into more of a winger. But Berkeley Catton, I love getting real life prospects in the system for a franchise mode series. Berkeley Catton, welcome to Pittsburgh. We get you on board. We get the rights to Alex DeBrincat that hopefully works out. And now our next selection comes at pick number 52. So we'll send to the next round. Unfortunately, we have to pass up on the other guys we were considering in the first round. There's some other good prospects that we'll be looking at, though. Kiwi Haru, it would be fun to take Kiwi Haru, but we just had him in our last series with the Sharks. Boyle, this guy's 75 overall, going 10th, excuse me, but medium top 6 potential. Roberto Boyle. Some top 6 forwards, drops off a little bit after the top 10. Top 6 forwards, top 4D, top 9, yikes. The 20th overall pick that we would have had, Ottawa takes this guy Foy, a good medium top 4D. All right, that's good. Ramo top 4D, top 9, top 4, top 6. Yeah, so a bit scary at the end there. Now in the second round, we know that there's some players around 40 and 50. We pick at 52. Do we want to move up, and how much would that cost, right? We could probably survive Howe, Petrel. Yeah, we want Yanni Petrel. Low elite, we definitely want Yanni Petrel. So maybe moving from 52 to 42. Yeah, from 52 to 42 would be the best case scenario. The 42nd pick belongs to the Blue Jackets. If I knew that the Islanders had that, we could have made it a part of the trade as well that we just did, but I would have been tough to swing with only being able to put 5 pieces in the trade. So I'll give you 52 for 42. You want this pick? You want to trade your pick? That's great. 52, and can I just trade you some randos to make this happen? It's not like it's a huge ask to just move up 10 spots. Can I give you Collins here, medium 7th D, who I'm never going to sign? Rejected, a bit low for us. Can I dump anyone else on you here, Columbus? Come on now. Anyone else unsigned? No. Who's definitely not coming back? St. Ivany's not coming back. And let me guess, you have too many roster spots. Okay, we'll add an Islanders 7th. Okay, I'll just trade both. Whatever, trade accepted. Great. Thank you. For a low lead prospect, it's okay to give up the 7th pick. Okay. So, yikes. Ugly second round here. Ooh, everyone's top 9 after these first 2 players. Yikes. So, with the 42nd overall pick, we're going to go ahead and select this low lead prospect out of Finland, Yanni Petrel. I would like real guys like Tanner Howe who have low top 6 potential, but Low elite at 44, hard to pass up. Come on, can I please click on him? Thank you. 5'9" winger from the SHL, 6 points in an A+ league last year. That's good. 3 years away for sure, but he has zone abilities, superstar abilities. Very happy to bring him on board. Welcome to Pittsburgh, Yanni. You are 63 overall, low elite. I'll take it, especially with those X factors. Very, very valuable. Ankle breaker, it's tricky. Puck on a string, third eye, all alone, tape to tape, bing, bang, bong. No crazy attributes that stand out, but no problem with me. Our next selection comes at pick number 93. Between now and then, there are absolutely prospects that I would love to have. Low top 6 forwards, low top 4D. Those just are, they speak my language. Especially guys who are gems. Lashoff, low top 4D, who's a gem. I really wanted Lashoff. My original plan was to get him a gem, low top 4 offensive defenseman. Walter Lashoff, if I could, maybe. Anyone else in the 70s, 80s? Medium, say a lot of low potential players. Guaranteed medium top 6 sniper. Another left wing, though. Taro Tukio. 5 years away. Yeah, probably pass on him, although I like the potential. Some guys down here, low top. Oh, here, Pekka Tervainen, also an offensive defenseman with medium top 4D potential, but 5 years away. Radoslav Bartosak, medium top 4. Pekka Timonen, 5 years away. Medium top 6, I meant to say. A lot of the real-life players get mixed up here. That's why it's such a low-value draft in the later rounds. This guy, Kadri, medium top 4. Evan Kadri, 19 years of age, 5 years away. No, a lot of these guys are projects. So I think I will try to trade up to get Lashoff then. We're making a lot of different trades here, giving up some picks for the future, but we're trying to be contenders and get the pool of players that we want established. Let's try and get pick number 55 or so. And the Coyotes have back-to-back picks, 54 and 55, so that's great. They would absolutely want to move that pick. Can I give you a third and a sixth? Is that good enough? Actually, I want to throw in players, but they have full contracts. Third and a sixth, 93 and a sixth-round pick to get 55? No. Guess I got to add a fifth in 2026, make it a seventh in 2025. Trade accepted. All right, thank you very much. A third, a fifth, and a seventh to get a second. Fair enough, especially if we're getting a player with potential that we can trust. So, in this draft class as well. Very scary draft class. So, Walter Lashoff, offensive low top 4D, gem defenseman. Welcome to Pittsburgh, buddy, on that right side. You are 62 overall. I'll take it. 18 years of age with low elite potential, low top forward potential as a second round selection. I am happy enough with that. Thank you. Hopefully you develop well enough, especially since we couldn't get the other offensive defenseman that we were considering in the first round. Next pick at 158. We have nothing left to trade. I'm just going to sim to pick 158. I know we're missing out on all kinds of great prospects with good potential that we uncovered after painstaking scouting. But unfortunately, we've traded all. I want to keep some thirds and fifths in the future, right? So with pick number 158, let's see who's available. Really not a lot when we sort by potential. Yikes. Yeah, not really anybody, actually. Less than nobody. Whew. So you know what? If that's the case, and all the guys that we would have taken were at 110, 120, stuff like that, why waste these picks? Let's do some good scouting and do it again next year. So I'll go to Chicago. I'll say you give me like your fourth next year, and I'll give you the picks that I had left. So I'll give you a fifth and 2 sevenths, and you give me your fourth next season. Trade accepted. I almost feel guilty saying yes to this, but I wouldn't take more anyways. I think that's a fair enough deal. A fifth and 2 sevenths for a fourth next season. It hurts this year that we missed out on some of those low elite guys. Maybe we could have traded those 3 picks for one of those prospects that we would have wanted to get. But now in 2025, that gives us a fourth that we didn't have. We have 2 firsts, a third, a fourth, a fifth, and a sixth. I like having the cupboards stocked as full as possible. And there's the draft, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunate that we couldn't get some of the other guys that we had targeted, but to do what we did, to get the rights to Alex DeBrincat, to move up to number 9, to dump the players that we got to dump as well, I think that this was a smashing success. So I'll go ahead and auto-draft the rest of this draft, and we'll get to the end having made our 3 selections: Catton, Petrell, and Lashoff. So now with the draft complete, we will move into the re-sign phase where we'll see what Toffoli and DeBrincat actually want to re-sign. I hope that is reasonable. We need to re-sign our head coach as well as our associate coach and some of our scouts. So I'll take care of that, and we'll be back in just a second. All right, those offers are sent out. Now let's see what our potential UFAs and RFAs are asking for here when we look at all expiring. First and foremost, we got to look at Alex DeBrincat. Now, keep in mind, we do have $19.562 million, but that's if the salary cap is $92.35. If we're to put the salary cap down to, let's say, $87.5 million, that means it's really $4.85 million less than what it is. That means we're playing with about 15 million, 14.982. So 15 million to spend on DeBrincat, Toffoli, Hollander. We'll see who else. So Alex DeBrincat, first and foremost, what are you looking for, my friend? You want... Whoa! Oh, boy, 9 million. That is costly. It is a first-line winger, but that is costly. If we went... The difference between 9.075 and 9.1 isn't a huge difference. If we went 6 years, maybe 7 to bring it to the age of 33, that would be 7.73. So 7 by 7.75 for Alex DeBrincat, which is pretty realistic. That's around the number. That's like Jesper Bratt, Cole Caulfield, Kevin Fiala money, and Andrei Sveshnikov even. So 7.75 for 7 years on Alex DeBrincat. It's not crazy, but it's a bit more than I was hoping for. Let's see if he likes the 85%. He did want the extension, so let's see if he likes 7.75. Now, Jake DeBrusk, I don't think we're going to be re-signing him. He wants 4.35. Yeah, I don't think we can. Not the roster spots, but just the salary, so probably going to let him walk. Toffoli is my #1 target here, as he came in at the halfway point of the season, scored 34 points in 41 games. In the postseason, only 3 points in 7 games. I don't know if I can blame him alone for the lackluster offense, but in the regular season, he was very, very good. So at the age of 32, I wouldn't mind 2 or 3 years. 2 years actually sounds pretty good to me. He probably wants the security of a 3rd season. 4 would be way too long, but I think 3 makes sense to keep him interested in signing with us. 85% is down to 4.65, so we could do 4.675 for 3 years. Give him a little extra security. Give him some time with Sid and Gino and try to get a Stanley Cup. I think he'd be content with getting over, 13 million. 3 by 4.675. We'll see if he likes it. He does want the extension, so we'll start with those two as the bigger names. Jordan Staal, I think that he's going to be on his way out. Not the craziest cap hit, but Hollander can play 3rd-line center now. So Jordan Staal, it was nice to have you back on the team, but we will release you. Nick Holden was just a waiver guy. We will release you. Hollander now, what are you looking for? You want 1.25. Not bad. It keeps you as an RFA as well. So 2 years at 1.075. If he doesn't want it, we'll just qualify him. We definitely got to do 2 years as cheap as possible. P.O. Joseph, likely a guy that we qualify. Let me guess. He wants upwards of 3 million. He wants 3 by 2. 2 years keeps him as an RFA, so I think we got to definitely do that. Unless we go 1 year and a prove it to me type of deal, which is 600K less, yeah, that's probably worth it. Plus, we can just qualify him the year after. Yeah, we'll do 1 year at 1 million, basically. 1 year, 1 mil. If he doesn't like it, we'll qualify him, and we'll wait until we can get that. 1 year, 1 mil to P.O. Joseph. Yager will keep on board, even though he's retired in our universe. We'll keep him on board just so we can use him for the cap handicap. So we'll give him a free $4 or $5 million just to keep him happy in his retirement on a beach somewhere. Xavier Ouellet, we will release him. Chad Ruedel. If we need a 7th defenseman, Friedman makes more sense, as Ruedel is down to 7th D potential, and he's 34 years of age. So release him as well. In the rest of the RFAs now, let's take a closer look at these. Kopke, whatever, Fonstad, Dudas, Drew Connor, Gruden, De Liberatore, Legaré. I'd like to keep all those guys. Pretty much St. Ivany is the only guy that I'll definitely want to release. Aside from that, I think I'm happy with signing the rest of these guys for the AHL squad. Main roster, back to the goalies. We have Blackwood and Blomqvist. In the AHL, Gauthier and Lindbergh. And then in just the entire team, looking at the unsigned players, I don't think anyone's ready to get signed just yet. Catton will stay in the juniors, Jaeger in the juniors. They're all playing each other in the WHL, correct? Moose Jaw, 72 points in 69 games in the WHL for Braden Jaeger. Okay, so the WHL boys will all stick together, and Callan Lind, he scored 61 in 70 games. So there you go. Captain, Jaeger, and Lind will stay in the WHL. Petrel, low elite, he'll stay across overseas. Let's advance a date from here, and that will decide what we do for the rest of the contracts we're waiting for. Toffoli wants more, and DeBrincat wants more. Great. Joseph wants more. Hollander wants more. So everyone is greedy. Amazing. RFAs, I'm not going to waste my time with you at all. Hollander, qualify. Joseph, qualify. The rest of these RFAs I'll take care of in a moment after I send out one more UFA deal to DeBrincat and Toffoli. DeBrincat, I guess we'll go 7/8 on DeBrincat. Let's see if he likes that a bit more. Maybe a bit more of a round number. 7/8 with some inflation for DeBrincat. And then Toffoli, if he really wants what he's asking for, I got to go down to 1 or 2 years. If he wants 3 years, he's got to work with me. I don't want to, I'd prefer not to do $5 million. That's what Raquel was making. Let's try 4.85. Every cent counts. 4.85 for 3 years on Toffoli. I'll take care of some of the RFAs, like I said, and then I'll advance another day. All right, advancing another day now, as we should have a lot of players signing on. Of course, the head coach is back. Very good. The role that he likes. Very nice. Is the assistant coach interested? I'm not entirely thrilled, but I accept. All right, Preston, thank you. Back behind the bench. A few of our scouts as well. And now we'll be getting into the players. Toffoli is interested, but doesn't like the duration being changed up. DeBrincat wants more money. Fonstad, Dudas, Kopke, Ligari, Gruden, De Liberatore, and Danovsky all on board. Very nice. Our cap space has actually changed a little bit. Now it says 20.192. Okay, maybe that can help us to spend a little bit more. Let's go back to our UFAs. DeBrincat, I think he's the #1 priority. If he goes to free agency, it will cost a ton. So he's happy with the 7 years. I'm going to keep him at 7 years because his demand doesn't change unless we go down to 5, and it's marginally. So we'll stay at 7 years. 85% is 7.73, so I'll go to 8.25 now. Let's try that out. 7 years at 8.25 for Alex DeBrincat. And now I got to kind of wait on him. I'll give Toffoli another offer, but it's taking a lot of our money here. Come on now. Maybe we stay at 4 years then. He's really hung up on the 4 years. Then we'll trade him after 3. Let's do 4 years. No trade clause in years 1 and 2 maybe, and then in years 3 and 4 he has a 8-team no trade list. So let's try 4.95 for 4 years on Tyler Toffoli, and 7/8.25 on DeBrincat. One more scout signs on. Still not enough. So now he's interested. Thank you. All that's good, but the offer's not enough to entice me. Lovely. And DeBrincat, not enough money. Okay. 8.65 for 7 million on DeBrincat. You better be worth it. And Toffoli, we're gonna go 4/5.150. Lucky that you did well in the season. If we got to trade them, we trade them. If we are not enough, and easy decision for DeBrincat. So DeBrincat is signed on. Thank goodness we have Alex DeBrincat signed on. But Tyler Toffoli, at this point, I'm almost going to let him walk to free agency, and then we'll just see what he's asking for at that point. Maybe even look at signing DeBrusk instead. Because right now, if we're putting the salary cap at $87.5 million, we have $7.55 million to play with. And that's with the lineup looking like this. So DeBrincat signed on. Thank goodness we have our first line right wing. That takes care of the stress of free agency. If we're looking at the forwards right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's your top 6 right there. Third line, maybe it could be Toffoli, Zucker, and Hollander. And then the fourth line is a mishmash of whoever else. Meanwhile, on defense is where we're going to be spending money in free agency, I'd anticipated. If your top 4 is Letang, Orlov, Pettersson, and maybe Ty Smith, he's in the top 4. Can P.O. Joseph and a random guy be third pair? I don't know. Is Ty Smith ready to be full-time top 4? He played a lot of first pair minutes last year, so maybe he is. But the defense wasn't great. That's the thing. He was okay, but the defense wasn't great. Ty Smith had 22 points and a plus 18, playing about 20.5 minutes of ice time per night. So maybe we give him the reins. Maybe we say, let's do it. Smith, Letang, top pair. Orlov, Pettersson, second pair. Third pair, P.O. Joseph, and some inexpensive right pair D. And then with that $7.55 million, we go ahead and sign Tyler Toffoli and then some other depth forwards. Some like the Mason Marchments and the Marcus Folignos for $2.5 million, etc. But Jake DeBrusk, he wants way less than Tyler Toffoli. He would probably take 3 years at $4 million. Meanwhile, Toffoli, same overall, 5 years older, wants over $1 million more. But he has the results to back it up. DeBrusk, in his 9 games in the regular season, scored 1 goal. Meanwhile, in the postseason, he did do better, but 4 points in 7 games, still only 1 goal. He was better, again, but is that enough to make me say I want you over Toffoli? Honestly, I think there's going to be a point where I take a little break, obviously just 5 seconds for you, but a little break for myself. I'm going to go ahead and ask the assistant general managers in the Discord server. So I went to the Discord server, and there were fruitful discussions, as always, weighing both sides. Look, it honestly feels like a real GM's war room at times. We had some great discussions, and I think that the assistant general managers, despite the price, say that we are leaning to Foley. Pat came out at the end and said, hey, am I too late to say drive DeBrusk to the airport? DeBrusk did not impress in that first round. Well, excuse me, in the 9 games he played in the regular season. And then in the first round, when playing on the first line with Crosby, only scoring 1 goal. Toffoli doing a little bit less in the postseason, 1 less assist on the second line versus also playing on the second line in the regular season and doing very, very well and playing his own. It makes us say, even if we have to trade him relatively soon, paying him to hopefully continue what he's been doing is worth it, especially if we need his support on the third line. If it's going to be Zucker, Hollander, and Toffoli as the third line, we need someone that we can trust down there, not some other 82 overall depth guy. We need someone who still brings the scoring touch, and we're not going to be a top-heavy scoring team that just needs Sid and Gino to score. So hopefully he takes exactly what he wants, $5.475 million for 4 years, no trade clauses or anything embedded into this deal. He basically just wants to get paid, and he wants security, but he understands that he may not be able to stay in Pittsburgh for the rest of his deal. You know what, Tyler? I respect it. You played in Montreal, LA, Calgary. You've played all over the place. Now you're in Pittsburgh, and you likely have one more destination left in your career. Hopefully he will sign on for that deal. I'm not going to release DeBrusk just yet. Hopefully Toffoli will sign that deal. We don't need to worry about it too much, as tomorrow will be June 30th, the last day of the re-sign phase. So fingers crossed as we advance a day. And it was an easy decision to renew my contract with you. I appreciate that you chose to offer me the type of money I feel I'm worth. And you know what? I'm glad he didn't play hardball. All he wanted was to get some security. And you know what? Can you really blame the guy trying to provide for his family? A 4-year deal for Tyler Toffoli, paying him $5.475 million, and that brings us down to 7.702, which really, when we give ourselves the handicap, leaves us at around 2.85 million. So let's go ahead and sign Jagr right now, so we know how much money we're actually playing with. $4.85 million for 1 year for Jagr, just to sit in Kladno and send us his scouting reports. That'll bring the salary cap back to what it should be. And Friedman, 78 overall. It's not the worst. I'd probably, you know what? It's too tight. I got to release Friedman, and I got to sign some sort of two-way guy who's 78 overall as our 7th defenseman later on in free agency. Jake DeBrusk as well. We'll release you at this point. Advance a day. I'm sure Jagr's going to... Actually, I won't advance because that'll bring us to free agency. Everyone is qualified. Everyone's on board. Let's do it. Advancing a day to free agency. Easy decision for Jagr. Of course, get paid money to do nothing. And here we are on July 1st. Let's check out who's available. Of course, I'm going to go ahead and jump into who's available in the scouts and things like that. But I'm very curious who's in the free agency pool of 2024. Austin Matthews drops to free agency. There he is. Tyson Barrie demanding way more than we would have been able to pay him. So works out that it looks like we're not going to be going after him anymore. If we just look at the UFAs who are available here, we see Austin Matthews and William Nylander, who both want crazy money. It would be great to say, hey, Austin Matthews, you want $15 million? Come on in. You're the heir to Sidney Crosby with your high franchise potential. I would love to say that, but probably not too much realism in that at this point, unfortunately. Forwards are set. I'm not going to look at the forwards aside from a depth guy in the 4th line, someone with size that we were talking about in the comments at the beginning. Someone down here, probably in the 82 range. Let's scroll down a little bit. Let's maybe let's even look at affordable. Let's forget all the games and just look at affordable. Who's affordable out here? Who has some size? There's Marcus Foligno, who we had mentioned. He wants 2 years at 2.475, 82 overall grinder. Ooh, that's a lot of pounding minutes, though. I like grinders who stay out of the box. Not stay out of the box, but who don't get triple-digit pounding minutes. That would be a lot more helpful. I don't want to... We already had difficulties with our special teams. I want a guy with size who's not going to be going crazy in terms of always sending us to the penalty kill. Ooh, I think I found my guy. Pierre Engvall, the 6'5" two-way forward. I like Pierre Engvall very much as a player, Plus, I love the AAV. But on top of that, we had gotten him, I believe, in the Sharks series. But then when the season rolled around, we couldn't afford him anymore. So we traded him away just as if it never happened. So Pierre Engvall coming to Pittsburgh. I was seeing a few other names that interested me. There's Stahl and Carter. A few other names that interested me, like Rasmussen, Michael Rasmussen, 6'6", but he's an RFA. That would be hard to swing. I'm sure Detroit would be happy to re-sign him. Who was it? Athanasiou. Where is he? Yes, he's 6'2", but he wants $3.6 million. So I think Pierre Engvall would be the perfect solution. He has size. He's an 80 overall. He's a two-way forward. Doesn't want anything crazy. I'm sure a few other guys would fit the bill as well, but Pierre Engvall at that AAV, at that size, I think he fits the bill very much. Plus, hold on, 2 years, he wants only 0.925. So instead of 1 year, 1.35, how does 2 years, 1 million sound for you, Pierre? 2 years, 2 million for Pierre Engvall. I think that's pretty much the only move we're going to make here. 2 years, 2 million. That would leave us, well, at 1 million per year, that leaves us with 2.712. And that would allow us to go and try and get a defenseman who we could maybe play on the right side of P.O. Joseph. Yeah, like Colin Miller is a bit too much. We have 2.7. Maybe we could stretch it, but there's a team that's already interested in him, so forget it. Maybe Dylan Coughlin here, two-way D. Didn't do much last year. 3.5-star defense. Let me do some research here on the right Ds. Someone who actually stood out to me was Tyler Myers, who is 6'8", of course, but I think the speed is going to start to go down a little bit now. He has 4-star skating, surprisingly, at 34 years of age, but I'm not convinced that his top 4 D potential will stick. I don't like signing guys who are 34, 35 in free agency because season rolls around and they're 1 or 2 overall less than you initially thought they were. Someone who's standing out to me here is Nikita Zadorov, actually, who's 6'6", 81 overall, 4-star defense, 90 shot blocking, 29 years of age, so I don't need to worry about him changing. 4.5-star physical. He fits the bill of what we're trying to do. Engvall and Zadorov, 2 6'6" players would be great. Matt Roy is here, but he had like 80-some penalty minutes. I'm trying to see guys who are not simulated as guys who are always going to the box. Then there's Braun at 6'2", then after that drops to the 80 overalls. Would be interesting to take a guy, maybe a chance on a younger guy, a Hayden Fleury type of player. But I think I'm ready to go after Nikita Zadorov. I think he fits what we're trying to do. I'm saying fits the bill, fits the glove, all that stuff very often. But I think he does exactly what we're trying to here. I'd prefer to go 2 years on him. So would you want to do 2 years at... No one's interested. I don't want to go too low, but let's try 2 years at 2.250. Yeah, let's do it. Nikita, what do you say to that? Play some third pair time. You can slot up when need be with your size. All right, so they're the 2 contract offers that we'll send out for the moment, for the time being. I'm sure we'll sign some other depth guys with potential. As always, we want to sort and look at that, just out of curiosity. Hollander will be signed. Yeah, it's true. We got to save a little money for Hollander and P.O. Joseph. So I think we should probably stop there, unless we look at guys who want 2-way deals. Actually, Thomas, Smith. These guys could play 4th line. Maybe. Nate Smith, 3rd-round pick in 2018 from the Coyotes. 2-way forward. Pretty interesting attributes, actually. Or Akil Thomas, who was a 2nd-round pick of the Kings in 2018 as well. Center, but I don't like the 2.5-star defense. Smith, actually very interesting. Let's do it. Why not? Let's get you on a 2-way deal. 1 year, 2-way, and a max contract for you. Let's see if he likes that. Nate Smith. All right. Aside from that, I don't think... defenseman, hold on. Defenseman, that was forwards. Defense... Kniazev, who was one of the heroes of our Sharks series, Artemi Kniazev. Wow, we loved having him with the Sharks. He was one of the longest serving players we had. He stayed for, I believe, all 10 of our initial GM seasons. So it'd be fun to bring him back, but I try to, as much as possible, keep it fresh. McIsaac is probably the guy that makes the most sense. Medium top 4, 79 overall. 2nd-round pick of the Red Wings back in 2018. Some 2018 picks dropping the free agency here. Ronnie Attard, who we had in the Flyers series as well. So let's give a contract to McIsaac. Nice little 2-way deal for you. Max 2-way deal, 1 year. And that'll be it. Those were the 2 deals that the two two-way deals that we send out. If you're curious about who's available for the goaltending, Connor Hellebuyck in free agency here. Doesn't want that much, actually. 6.45, but he only wants a 1-year deal, that's why. Yeah, okay, interesting. Freddie Anderson, Marc-Andre Fleury, Varlamov. Yeah, Fleury, of course, someone who we want to bring back eventually. We have Blackwood. We have a good young backup. I don't think the time is right, but hopefully, maybe he can be a backup for one of his final seasons in a year or two. So I'll go sign some new scouts for the system, and then I'll advance a few days and see if we can get those 4 players to sign on. Okay, that's good to go. Now it's time to advance a few days. We have 11 scouts who should be signing on, as well as those 4 contracts that we sent out. From there, we'll be able to look at our current RFAs, P.O. Joseph and Philip Hollander, 2 players that we've already factored into our lineup, so hopefully they're not going to play hardball with us for too long in RFA land. Lots of scouts signing on, as I said, advancing to the big day, usually July 5th. Is when the information is going to come. Here we go. Zadorov's on board. Thank you very much. He's extremely happy to accept the offer, and he's looking to add a lot to a team that's destined for a good run in the playoffs. Nikita, bring that 6'6" frame in here. And speaking of 6'6", Pierre Engvall, actually who's 6'5", sorry, is on board. Your cash offer was most generous. 2 years, $2 million. Get on board. And Nate Smith as the prospect, and Jared McIsaac. All 4 players sign on. Everything coming up data here in Pittsburgh. That's what we like when it comes to an off-season episode. That leaves us with $1.757 million. We can make it work. Looking at our RFAs, I think Hollander is the first one that we want to get done here. Hollander, we want to do, we said 2 years on him. So that's 1.19. I'll go 1.2 for 2 years on Hollander. 1.2 for 2 years. And then P.O. Joseph, we were thinking like a 1 million type of thing for 1 year. His demand is pretty similar for 1 or for 2 years. I'm going to wait a bit on P.O. Joseph then, if that's the case. And hopefully Hollander will sign. Hollander, what do you say, buddy? Every day that goes by, I'm losing people in free agency potentially. All right, I decided to accept your offer. I look forward to making an impact. That's how they just give you that. That's when you just barely get them. They give you that message. Anything a few cents more. Oh, your cash offer was most generous. Okay. Back to P.O. Joseph. Is he still looking for the same thing? It's come down a little bit, but actually, no, it hasn't. It's just that the money that we can afford came down a little bit. If he wants the same for 1 or for 2 years, then it doesn't make sense to go 1 year anymore. Let's go for 2. That means 2 years at 1.25, basically. 2 years at 1.225. Yeah, 1.225, sorry, for 2 years on P.O. Joseph. Then Drew O'Connor. Come on, buddy. Take a nice little 2. Come on. Take a little 2-way deal. You're a 76 overall. Very nice. And remember, we're doing all this on a budget that is $4.85 million less than every other team in the league. $87.5 million is our self-imposed salary cap. P.O. Joseph rejects. He's disgusted. Based on his skills, how could we do that? Let's try the same. I'm actually going to try the same deal. 2.225 for 2 years. Now his demand has come down a little bit. And also, you know what? While we're here, let's get an extension sent out, or at least look at what he wants for the captain, Sidney Crosby, whose contract will be expiring. His $8.7 million deal he signed way back when. It will be expiring. He's 36 years of age, 90 overall, and I want 7.825. And our extension dollars minus maybe, well, the salary cap will balance out soon enough. Maybe our handicap next year is $3 million. We probably have about $14-15 million to play with. So it's not that I don't want to sign him longer than 2 years, but his demand by then will probably be a bit lower since his overall would continue to drop. Probably 2 years makes sense on Sid. Unless we go with 3 even. 3 years, bring him to the age of 39. I don't know. I don't want to risk with the overall. I'm definitely projecting him to have a better year than he did this past year. So I think his demand will go up after next year. That's why I want to get it done now. But I think 2 years is a good place to be. We're not going to be letting him go after 2 years. But just to say, let's give you 2 years. Then we'll reassess where we're at as a franchise and where you want to be. 85% is 6.65. But I think 2 years, $7 million makes sense. With Gino making 6.1 and Letang making 6.1. I would almost go 6.750 just to bring them all in the 6. But I think 2 years, $7 million per year makes sense for Sid. There's definitely a distinction between him and the rest of the team for a lot of reasons. Marcus Pettersson also would need an extension, and he wants more than I'd probably be comfortable at the moment giving him. So let's advance a few more days, waiting on Sid and P.O. Joseph. Let's see what they have to say. July 16th, the big day. No, July 17th, let's try that. Rejected from P.O. Joseph. But the captain needs another day to think about it and accepts. Easy decision to renew. Thank you, oh captain, my captain. Sid the Kid signed on at least to the age of 38. P.O. Joseph, back to playing games with you. Thankfully, Hollander didn't play too many games with us, but P.O. Joseph loves to play games, I suppose. And now his demand is down to 1.375. You know what? Now I don't feel like giving him 2 years anymore. Now I'm down to 1 year. I'll give you 1 year, 1.1. 1 year, 1.1. 85% is 1.08. 1.1 for 1 year. If you don't want it, I'm going to like August before I think about offering you another deal. Here we go. Rejection. Goodbye, P.O. Joseph. See you in a month. Okay, August 6th now. We'll get P.O. Joseph on whatever the contract we want him to be on will be. Any Elias Pettersson's out here, Yamamoto, Schultz, Tanev. Actually, who's a UFA who's still out here? Very good UFAs who are still available here in August, who don't want a lot either. Definitely not affordable, unfortunately. We could get a guy like Zach Parise at 40 years of age, who's still an 82 overall. That would be crazy. But doesn't quite... Pierre Bellemare has 4 people interested in him. Wouldn't quite make sense. Let's look at some defensemen, just to get a 7th D out here on a nice cheap deal. Exactly what I was saying about Friedman. He wanted 1 year at like $950K, right? Let's try and get 1 year, $775 on a league minimum. I was thinking of Mark Stahl, a nice veteran here like a Mark Stahl. Alexiev, though, has medium top 6 D potential. Probably makes a lot more sense than Mark Stahl. But only 3-star defense. Mark Stahl, veteran, get him a cup. 3.5-star defense? Ooh, Mark Stahl's really calling to me despite being 37. You know, we have McIsaac. We have, what's his name? The French-Canadian we got from Vegas in the system as well. What the heck? 7th D is a guy who always rotates in and out anyways. Just a guy that you got a new one every year. Mark Stahl, get in here, buddy. And we'll go back to P.O. Joseph. We can sign him from this screen. P.O. Joseph, what would you like for 1 year? 1.25. Of course, for 8 years, 2.6. All right, 1 year, 1 million on P.O. Joseph. I'm sure by the time the season rolls around, there you go. Extremely happy. Thank you, P.O. Joseph. Mark Stahl would probably be down to like even a 77 by the time the season rolls around. But let's, if it doesn't work out, we'll sign somebody else. Let's just try and give him the chance. Extremely happy to accept the offer. Mark Stahl brings the veteran presence, brings the 6'4" size. Let's do it. That wraps up free agency, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to the start of next season. Drew O'Connor's going to sign somewhere in there, so don't worry about him. Let's see what our lineup will look like to begin 2024-25. Okay, so after a nice off-season of rest, eating well, and training hard, here's how our lineup looks headed into 2024-25. Some surprises for sure. On the first line, we're looking to roll out with Gensel, Crosby, and DeBrincat as the +5 first line, 88, 90, and 88 overall, respectively. So looking forward to seeing what that line can do together. On the second line, I think we'll try Gino on left wing with O'Reilly as center and Rust on the right. Gives them a +1. We could, in theory, go Crosby, Malkin, and O'Reilly down the middle, then bring Toffoli into the top 6, and then that allows the third line to be Zucker, Hollander, O'Reilly. That's something else we could consider, but at the moment, third line, Toffoli, Hollander, and Zucker. Hollander has grown to an 81 overall. That's great. Nice attributes there for the two-way forward with 4-star defense. Very, very nice. But I am surprised by Tyler Toffoli dropping to an 82. I don't care if he simulates just as well as before. Overall means nothing if the simulation works fine. But his potential for some reason has dropped to exact top 9 after having such a great season. So very odd, but hopefully it'll just go back to what it was. On the fourth line, we have Pierre Engvall, a brand new fourth line. Nate Smith, who I signed to be in the AHL, he actually is going to make the NHL to start the year. Fourth line center, Nate Smith, 79 overall with the former third-round pick of the Coyotes, 25 years of age. No attributes that really stand out aside from the 4-star physical. 3.5-star shooting, that's nice. I think he should be able to do his job there in that role. And on the fourth line right wing, this guy, Cole Kopke, 6th-round pick of the Lightning in 2018. We signed him last year. He played in the AHL. Actually, he didn't play at all. We signed him to be 13th and 14th forward, just back up to the backup in case we needed him. He never played a single game in the NHL or the AHL, but now he's looking to make his debut as fourth line right wing. For defense, we are probably going to stay the same with Smith and Letang on the top pair. I'm surprised that Smith hasn't grown at all in his overall, as he had a good year last year. Second pair, Pettersson and Orlov. Dmitry Orlov, we signed this guy as an 85. He immediately dropped to an 84. He's an 83. This guy, he's trying to make himself a prime trade candidate, I do have to say. At $6.65 million, if he does not pull his weight, he could be a trade candidate very, very soon. 33 points and a +7 last year. That's good. In the postseason, he was a -5 in 7 games. So he's going to have to wake up a little bit if he wants to stay on this team. P.O. Joseph with Nikita Zadorov on the third pair, 6'6" Nikita Zadorov. Between the pipes, we have 85 overall Mackenzie Blackwood and Joel Blomqvist. He's up to an 81 overall. Very nice. I've never really seen him develop well in franchise mode. So he went from low or medium starter, I forget, and now he's low elite potential. 81 overall at 22 years of age, and he will be an NHL backup as a young player. Very, very good. In the scratches, our 13th forward is Cole Fonstad, who we signed last year for the AHL. I would have liked to play him in the AHL again, but we don't really have anyone else in the system. And Jared McIsaac actually grew to an 80 overall, and Mark Stahl regressed to a 77. So it makes more sense to have Jared McIsaac as our 7th defenseman. Medium top 4 D potential and 24 years of age. So it would be nice to get him in the lineup more often than not. We'll see if he can find his way to rotate in. Down in the AHL, nothing big to make note of. No one that really stands out. Pussinen's out of 76. Drew O'Connor still not signed, but I'll get him signed in a moment. I'm not sure what his overall is. Defense, we now have Owen Pickering in the AHL, as he's 20 years of age. He has graduated from the juniors. He had 64 points in 63 games in the WHL last year. We love the WHL. 21st overall pick in 2022. He will play top pair D with Lucas Cormier. He will play top pair D there. The third-round pick of Vegas, who we got last season, and after playing a full year in the AHL, had 58 points in 72 games. Definitely starts to develop the defense and the physical, but a great skater, great puck skills, great shooting and all that. Hopefully top pair minutes, another season of that will help him to grow a little bit more as he has that top 4 D potential. Goaltenders, it is Taylor Gauthier at a 75, backed up by Philip Lindbergh at a 74, and that's about it for the AHL. I wouldn't mind maybe I'll try to sign a player or two just to give some more strength in the lineup, but nothing too much else to say in the AHL. We got to get Drew O'Connor on board as he's been playing hardball all summer. RFAs, O'Connor's a 76, so he would be in the AHL anyways. Drew O'Connor, buddy, you want 1 year, $1 million? That is crazy. Is that not crazy? 1 year, $1 million on Drew O'Connor? What did he do to deserve 1 year, $1 million? I'm probably going to keep him RFA for now. Like, if I have $1.48 million to spend and there's something we want to do, that goes a long way. When every cent counts, to waste $1 million on a guy who's just going to be playing second line AHL, I don't know about that. Free agency, just to see who's still out here, if there's anybody. Elias Pettersson's still out here. Kailer Yamamoto. Tyson Jost, the most NHL-ready player, but he has teams interested. Dennis, the Chosen One Cholowski, legend of our Seattle Kraken franchise mode. Ulevi, Hayek, Norlander. Yeah, okay. A few options out here if we wanted to get some people on board. What we'll do to end off the episode is just look at the trade blocks around the NHL in case you have any thoughts on players you may want to go after, whether it be now or into the season should certain things happen. Here are our current trade values. Catton still at 73 overall, no growth over the offseason. Petrell at a 63 still. Ty Smith has quite a bit of value. Jaeger's up to a 73 to start this season. Just to scroll through, Lind up to a 70. If you're curious, Yager, obviously, he's not really here, so you don't need to take him into account. Just if you're curious about what our trade values look like, and look into blocks around the league in case anyone interests us for now or later, sorting by overall. Prospects in Anaheim, Arizona, Phil Kessel. 1 year left at $3 million. Perhaps Phil Kessel makes his way back to Pittsburgh. You never know. Silverberg, 2-year deal. Heinen, Logan Stanley, a lot of other names there. Boston, Beecher. We were thinking about him last episode. John Beecher, first round pick in 2019. 6'3" power forward with 4.5-star physical. In the AHL last year, 57 points in 72 games. Maybe John Beecher. Some other prospects as well. Kulich and Ostlund both on the block in Buffalo. There was a comment that was left in the last episode about looking at getting some Buffalo prospects. Kulich and Ostlund are both on the block. I don't know, maybe the Sabres have a lot of center depth. Even Isaac Roseyan is here, former first-round pick. So all you Buffalo fans out there, if you really want to go after one of these guys, let me know a trade that you think makes sense to make it happen. And by the way, Buffalo, their team status is buyer. Over in Calgary, Uyghur 7 years, Kadri 5 years. Manjapane and David Savard are both on expiring deals, but have a lot of trade value. Hurricanes, prospects and other pieces. Klingberg and Murphy in Chicago. Colorado, various pieces. Columbus, Severson, who made his way to Columbus. That's funny, just like in the real world. Gavrikov and Kuraly. Dallas, we see Bunting, Sagan, expiring Mike Hoffman, Bertuzzi, expiring Ryan Suter, expiring David Perron, Sundqvist, Scandella. Marchment there as well. Detroit, Ryan Murray, Danny DeKeyser, Danny D.K. DeKeyser, legend back in the Sharks series as well. Yamamoto on the block as an RFA and other prospects. Prospects in Florida, LA, Philippe Danault, one of my all-time favorites, on a pretty good deal as well. Lizotte, Eller, Colton, Foligno, Craig Smith, Milan Lucic, who's still out here in this universe. Duclair and Zuccarello on an expiring deal in Minnesota. The Canadians, Trouba, Pesce, Muzzin, Gustafsson, and Gudas. Pesce, I find more often than not, he finds his way to the Canadians in franchise mode. And no matter where he goes, this man is always on the trade block. Poor guy. Nashville has Kniazev on the block. We love Kniazev. Joakim Kemmel on the block. And various other prospects. Height, Schaefer. Just like last preseason. The Predators, coming off of a Stanley Cup, they would love to move prospects and get pieces to go on another run. The Devils, just one player there. Islanders, just one player there. Rangers, some prospects including Brennan Othman. Raquel, of course. Barry, who they just signed to a massive 8-year contract. Giroux, Kulikov, Petrie. See, it doesn't make sense. The story, I still stand by it. The story we did for those trades makes sense, that 3-team deal. What doesn't make sense is that when they got the extra money to spend, they go out and spend $8.5 million on Tyson Barrie and then immediately put him on the trade block. That's just the broken AI general managers. Flyers, Andreas Janssen. Sharks, Nico Sturm. Kraken, Montour, Larson, Alexiak, Bailey, and Ruda. Alexiak would be interesting. $4.6 million for 2 more years for the 6'7" defenseman. We mentioned the size. We got Zadorov, but Alexiak, always love that size. Blues have Shen, Wheeler, Neighbors, and this guy Berglund all on the block. Lightning, some prospects including Isaac Howard. Prospects in Toronto, Vancouver, Elias Pettersson on the block as an RFA. Oliver Ekman-Larsson making $7.26 million. They'd love to dump him. Lekaramaki and other prospects. Vegas, Korzak, Chaika, and other prospects. Washington, nobody. And Winnipeg, Lucius, Byron. This guy Byron, who they just drafted, I believe, as well. Yeah, 6th overall in this draft. AIGMs, you can never get enough of them, I suppose, eh? Now, here's the last thing to think about as we end off the episode. I just realized our salary is at $90.868 million, despite Jaromir Jagr being in the system. I guess because he got sent down to the minors, it allows us to do more stuff. I wasn't keeping track of that at all. I thought because Jagr was signed, we could just do whatever we wanted. But no, we're at $90.868 million, which technically is $3.368 million over what we wanted our salary cap to be. So the question is, do we just chalk it up to we're able to play some LTIR games and roster management, and we're already under the salary cap anyways. Let's just not add anything more to it. Let's say our cap space is literally 0.000 right now. That's one way to think about it. Or do we say we got to make a trade to alleviate some cap space here? Marcus Pettersson, Dmitry Orlov, maybe Toffoli, who's already dropped to an 82, Zucker at $3 million. That could be another way to think about it. So let me know your thoughts on that. I just want to make sure that we're holding true to making it a challenging franchise mode. Well, actually, our team cap hit is 88.91, but then because of the buyout penalty, it brings us to 90.868. So you know what? It's the same thing at the end of the day. So we'll have to think about how we're going to reconcile that in the franchise mode. Also, just noticed Evgeny Malkin down to exact top 6 potential now at 38 years of age. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I was very excited to get this episode out, recording very late here on Thursday evening into Friday morning. I'm going to get this to you for the weekend. I hope that you're having a wonderful weekend and that you'll be able to leave some thoughts down here in the YouTube comments or over in the Discord server about what you thought about this offseason. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Do you have any thoughts headed into year number 2, especially about the lineup? Be sure to leave all of those. And if you haven't already, join the team, become an assistant general manager, subscribe to the channel. You'll be made aware of all of our uploads here for NHL franchise mode, career simulations, breaking news and analysis in the real world of hockey as we're getting into the real world offseason, the draft around the corner, free agency. It's going to be a busy time here on the channel. It's a lot of fun. It's a great community, and it'll be that much stronger with you as a part of it. So hop on board. We'd love to have you, and I'm very much looking forward to reading all of your thoughts and seeing you again in the next one, where we want to have a strong push in year number 2 to put ourselves on the path for the cup.